A couple months ago, I stood on a beach looking towards Cape Canaveral as we sent humans back around the moon for the first time in 50 years. And yet, I couldn't help thinking about a fictional alien made of rocks. Hail Mary is one of my favorite books in recent years, and I definitely enjoyed the film as well. Normally, I'm your more high concept, epic dystopian sci fi satire kind of guy, but Hail Mary, at its core, is about optimism, which I think is also the heart of the real space program as well. Written by Andy Weir, who also created The Martian, the premise of the book is our solar system has been infected with an astrophage that is going to essentially block out the sun, leading to apocalyptic consequences for all life here on Earth. Now, despite the bleak and dire threat to humanity being the impetus for the plot of the story, it is the realization of a shared fate and a collectivist mindset that transcends even the gap between different species, which ultimately leads to salvation. A realization that we are all in this together. Now, the scale of a cosmic story just makes the this a whole lot bigger. I suppose, ironically, the story proposes the thesis that it is the very scale of these challenges which is the forcing function for cooperation. The question isn't what hurdles are we able to overcome in our efforts to explore beyond our planet. It is how we as a society will choose to learn from the process. The environmental movement of the late 20th century is often tied to starting with photos. Photos from the early Apollo missions. The first time we saw ourselves, our planetary home, from the outside, looking in. Earthrise is one of the most famous. My parents had it in our hallway at home. You've seen this picture even if you don't know the name. It is the first picture taken looking back at our planet with a foreground of the moon. And it's so small. Our moon is our nearest celestial partner, literally right next door on a cosmic scale, yet from a human perspective, it is astronomically, far away. Astronauts all say the same thing about going into space. It changes you. Even Katy Perry agrees that the perspective shift is existential. Earth becomes small, borders disappear, and everything collapses into a single pale blue dot. Everything and everyone who has ever lived did so in something which starts to look pretty tiny when viewed from even our nearest neighbor. What happens in Hail Mary parallels this somewhat disquieting feeling. The problem is bigger than you thought, and implies conversely that you are smaller than you believed. Spoiler warning, the real threat in Hail Mary isn't just the sun is dimming, it's every star is dimming. And this removes any potential excuses that we can somehow run away from the problem. There is nowhere to go. The catastrophe is universal. And it is also indifferent. It is not some interstellar political war for dominance. It is space algae threatening the very basis for life in our galaxy. Except Tau Ceti, a real star system about 11 light years from us. Our last hope is Dr. Ryland Grace, a failed academic and high school science teacher. Woohoo! When we look at the Artemis 2 crew, there is little comparison of Commander Reed Weissman or Christina Koch in Dr. Grace. He is unassuming, struggles with basic human relationships, and actually he didn't even want to go. He gets forced. Probably the biggest twist is our protagonist recalling that his own agency was overridden in service to the greater good of society. This is a structural choice of the narrative. An archetypal hero would tilt the story towards individual triumph. This version keeps it anchored in shared problem solving. A hero isn't the answer. Collaboration is. So what about this alien made of rocks? Rocky, as he becomes known, is also drawn by the same logic as humanity. The key to their salvation must also be in the Tau Ceti system. Despite a chasm of linguistic, cultural, and purely biological gaps, you sleep, I watch, if you know, you know. Our two explorers manage to find common ground. The relationship with Rocky works because the situation has been stripped down to two individuals trying to solve the highest stakes challenge imaginable. There is no room for posturing, signaling, or misalignment because none of that helps. They are completely alone. The gulf between Dr. Grace and Rocky is exactly the reason they are able to find a way forward. Faced with an existential threat of unparalleled scale, the only option is to forget the assumptions of the past and forge a new understanding by collapsing everything back down into first principles. Because this story isn't about one person saving the world, it's about two creatures figuring it out together. When the problem is big enough, the noise just disappears. And what remains is shared reality, shared incentives, shared outcomes. They save everyone, or they save no one. A space gives us the perspective we need. So why can't we do that here on Earth? Maybe we lack the persistent perspective. Many of the global problems we face are slow burn. Climate crisis, economic disparity, international stability or instability. And we are the frog who doesn't realize the water is boiling. I think this is why we need a space program. It's about optimism, and not just an romantic idealism, something more pragmatic. Looking at the images from Artemis might remind us that we don't need a galactic crisis for everyone to finally understand that we are on the same team. We already are. We just keep forgetting, because down here, everything feels bigger than it is. Going to space reminds us that we can tackle the important things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. But they are easier when we are working together, and I think JFK forgot that part in the speech. But I, for one, am thrilled to see the next mission and feel that shot of perspective it will bring. Cheers. Thanks for listening to One Thing Worth a Rant by me, Jeremy, a show where I ramble on about some intersection of pop culture, media, and society. Talk soon.